Praise Yahuwah, brothers and sisters. Praise him, for he is worthy to be praised. Baruch are all they who revere Yahuwah and walk in his ways. Tehillim 128, verse 1. Today I'm continuing on with my study of the law, Yah's law, and we're going to be talking today about vows, V-O-W. Okay. In doing this, as I was, a few weeks ago, even before I really started concentrating on the law, Father and I had this conversation. I was thinking I brought it up, but a lot of times, let me tell you, a lot of times I think that I'm talking to him, but really it's the way he presents it to me. But later on, I'm thinking, okay, that was him bringing it to me anyway. So, but we were talking, and I realized that there are times when I said I'm going to do something that I actually made a vow, and I didn't see it like that. And so we were, like I said, a few weeks ago, I was going like, yeah. And I think he's talked to me about that before. I was like, well, I guess so. But if I'm just saying it to myself, is it? Yeah, okay. So he was showing me that I'm not keeping my word. Even if it's just to me, I'm not keeping my word. And my word should be, the world says, my bond. When I say something, I need to be meaning it. I should not be frivolous with my words. And so if I say, like in my heart, you know what, I'm going to fast tomorrow, and then tomorrow comes and I don't, what is that? It's a lie. Even if it's just to me, why wouldn't I have integrity with myself? Why wouldn't I mean what I mean when I say something, even to myself? But actually, it's a vow, period. And I didn't keep it. And so he was talking to me like that a few weeks ago. Then in studying, the law, and just, I knew it was in the law about vows. But I didn't see the seriousness of it. And so even just as recent as last night, because I had decided that I wasn't going to be looking at my phone when I went to bed, because what I was doing was I was playing a few word games and a numbers game to keep my mind sharp. I'm getting older, and they say it's good to do that. So I would do that, but I found when I did that, it ended up I was staying awake longer. So I had said, I'm not going to do that anymore. And so last night I was waiting for an email to come through. So while I was waiting for the email, I had the nerve to justify and rationalize why I could go ahead and play just a couple of games. And then this morning I got up so convicted, and I said, I just broke a vow. I said I wasn't going to do it. It was a lighthearted thing. Yeah, I'm not going to do that because it keeps me up late. And I need to, when I get into bed, if I'm going to do anything, it'll be scriptures. And so I got this morning thinking about it. And so we talked about it again. If we're going to walk according to his law, when he talks about the vows and keeping vows, then that means even if I'm saying it to myself. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And if you're like me, there's been other times in your life you did. I remember when I was a teenager and doing things I wasn't supposed to be doing, and knowing that if I got found out, the consequences would be severe, be harsh. And I would say, of course, back then I didn't know his name, so I was using the G-O-D. Oh, G-O-D, if you get me out of this, if you could just protect me, like not let this happen, I won't do it again. Lie. And we know people who keep the civil New Year. How many of them make vows? They call them resolutions, New Year's resolutions. And within a week or so, they're breaking it. What is the weight of our words? What is the weight of our words? So this morning, as I was, he brought to me James 4, and James says, chapter 4:13, go to now you that say, today or tomorrow, we will go into such a city and continue there a year and buy and sell and get gain. Whereas you know not what shall be on the morrow. For what is your life? It is even a vapor that appears for a little time and then vanishes away. For that you ought to say, if Yahuwah will, we shall live and do this or that. But now you rejoice in your boastings, and all such rejoicing is evil. Therefore, to him that know to do good and does it not, to him it is sin. I would like to say instead, as I thought about it, that instead I would say, I would like to, instead of saying I'm going to, because like this writing just says, we don't even know what tomorrow holds. And I'm boasting in myself what I'm going to do. I don't even know what the next minute's going to hold. So I thought about it today too. I said, well, if I say, oh Father, after I get dressed and get things done, I'm going to sit and give you and just get for an hour and get in the word. And my heart is set and I'm excited. I know I'm going to do it. Then someone calls and says, Polly, I hope you're available and can do this for me. But my car just broke down. I got to get to work and, da, 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 da. And I say, oh, well, I'm thinking, oh, I know what I said. Well, yeah, I can do that for you because remember, another scripture tells us that when we have it in our power to barak someone, then we need to do that. So I'm thinking, okay, she's got to get to work. So I take her to work. And then while I'm out, then this thought comes to me. I wonder where that thought came from. But this thought comes to me. Well, while you're out, why don't you just go ahead and pick up the few things you wanted from the store? That way you don't have to come back out later. Oh, yeah, let me do that. Yeah, that would make sense. That would be wise. Okay. I go buy the groceries. And then what happens? I get home and I say, oh, let me put these refrigerated things into the refrigerator. So now I'm in the kitchen for a while. The next thing, oh, let me go ahead and do this. Oh, let me go ahead and do this. Oh, and then before you know it, hours have gone by. And then I might get that hour to sit down in the word like I had said, or I might not. So when we got to be careful about vowing things because we don't know about the next hour, much less the next day, tomorrow. So we have to really think about what we're doing when we're vowing things and we're saying things. For me, I am going to try to say I would like to, or I hope to, instead of vowing what I'm going to do. Our words are our words are weighty, one way or another. And so we're going to be held accountable for our words. And so those words become idle, and we're going to have to give an account for every idle word, brothers and sisters. So we have to consider that. So let's read some verses from the law. Exodus 20, verse 18 through 19. And all the people saw the thunderings and the lightnings and the noise of the shofar and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they removed and stood afar off. And they said to Musa, you speak with us and we will hear, but let not Yahuwah speak with us lest we die. Then going to Shemot 24, that was Shemot 20, Shemot 24. And Musa came and told the people all the words of Yahuwah and all the judgments, and all the people answered with one voice and said, all the words Yahuwah has said, we will do. And he took the book of the covenant and read it in the audience of the people. And they said, all that Yahuwah has said, we will do. Will we do and be obedient? And Musa took the blood and sprinkled it on the people and said, behold, the blood of the covenant that Yahuwah has made with you concerning all these words. Now, the covenant, Yahuwah's going to keep his end of it, but do we always keep our end of the covenant? Well, I haven't. I must confess. Devarim 23, verse 21. When you shall vow a vow to Yahuwah your Aluah, you shall not slack to pay it, for Yahuwah your Aluah will surely require it of you, and it would be sin in thee. But if you shall forbear to vow it, it shall be no sin in you. That is gone out of your lips, you shall keep and perform, even a free will offering, according as you have vowed unto Yahuwah your Aluah, which you have promised with your mouth. So let's go back to what they said in Shemot. They said, we will do it, we will do it. And how many times did they not do what Yahuwah told them to do? He said, Musa said, if you forbear to vow, which if you refrain from vowing, it's not going to be sin if we don't vow. That's why I'm going to say, I would like to, I would hope to, rather than to vow. Remember the parable that Yahushua told about the father with two sons, and he asked the son to do something, and that son said, oh, sure, father, I'll go. And then he asked the other son, and the other son said, nah, I can't do it. No, I'm not going to go. But the son who said he wouldn't go, he did go and do that for his father. But the son who vowed that he would, he did not. So we don't want to be the one that said we're going to, and then we don't. So it's better to forbear, to refrain from vowing. Devarim 23 verse 18. You shall not bring the hire of a harlot or the price of a dog, a sodomite, into the house of Yahuwah your Aluah as payment for a vow. For both of these, the gift and the giver, are an abomination to Yahuwah your Aluah. Now there's something written in the law where he told them to bring certain money, a shekel, for vows, and silver for vows. And so right here, that's what this will be talking about. Don't bring money in for certain vows where they're supposed to pay money. When you know that money came from the hire of a harlot or the price of a dog, which that is so simple right there, a sodomite. Anyways, a lot of times we do things and we say he understands. Well, at least I'm getting it done. Not if it's not perfect, if it's not excellent, don't do it. And some people say you have hell to pay. Numbers 15:8. When you prepare a bullock for a burnt offering or for a sacrifice in performing a vow or peace offerings unto Yahuwah, then shall he bring with a bullock a meat offering of 3/10 deals of flour mingled with half a hin of oil. And you shall bring for a drink offering half a hin of wine for an offering made by fire of a sweet savor unto Yahuwah. Thus shall it be done for one bullock or for one ram or for a lamb or a kid. According to the number that you shall prepare, so shall you do to everyone according to their number. So he talks about a vow. How to bring, what to bring when you're performing a vow. Wayikar or Leviticus 22, and whoever offers a sacrifice of peace offerings unto Yahuwah to accomplish his vow or free will offering in beeves or sheep, it shall be perfect to be accepted. There shall be no blemish therein, either a bullock or a lamb that has anything superfluous or lacking in his parts, that you may offer for a free will offering, but for a vow it shall not be accepted. Bamadbar 21 verses 1-3. And when King Arad, the Canaanite, which dwelt in the south, heard tell that Yashrael came by the way of the spies, then he fought against Yashrael and took some of them prisoners. And when Yashrael vowed a vow unto Yahuwah and said, if you will indeed deliver this people into our hands, then I will utterly destroy their cities. And Yahuwah hearkened unto the voice of Yashrael and delivered up the Canaanites, and they did utterly destroy them and their cities. And he called the name of that place Hamar. Keep our vows, because he's going to come through on his part. Bamadbar, Numbers 6. All the days of the vow of his separation shall no razor come upon his head. Okay, we're talking about those who vowed Nazarite vow. Until the days be fulfilled. In that he separates himself unto Yahuwah, he shall be set apart and shall let the locks of his hair of his head grow. All the days that he separates himself unto Yahuwah, he shall come at no dead body. He shall not make himself unclean for his father or his mother, for his brother or for his sister when they die, because the consecration of his Aluah is upon his head. Wow. All the days of his separation he is set apart to Yahuwah, and if any man die very suddenly by him, and he has defiled the head of his consecration, then he shall shave his head in the day of his cleansing. Okay, remember, he's supposed to be letting his hair grow with locks. But if he comes anywhere near a dead body, he has to shave his head, and he has defiled the head of his consecration. Then he shall shave his head in the day of his cleansing. On the 7th day shall he shave it. And on the 8th day he shall bring 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons to the priest, to the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall offer the one for sin offering, the one for a burnt offering, and make an atonement for him, for that he sinned by the dead, and shall hallow his head that same day. And he shall consecrate unto Yahuwah the days of his separation, and shall bring a lamb of the first year for a trespass offering. But the days that were before shall be lost, because his separation was defiled. So whatever days that he had in that consecration, he's going to lose it and going to start all over again. And there's no way he's going to get away by saying, well, y'all understands, it wasn't my fault. I didn't know somebody was going to die near me. No, he's already laid it out. The vow was made. We got to stick to it. So in the scriptures, I'm going to read a few verses that I saw that also talked about vows. Ecclesiastes 5, written by Solomon. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Aluah. For Aluah is in the Shamayim, and you upon the aretz, the earth. Therefore let your words be few. Wow. Matthew 5, verses 33 through 37, Yahushua said, again, you have heard that it has been said by them of old time, you should not forswear yourself, but shall perform unto Yahuwah your oaths. But I say unto you, swear not at all, neither by Shamayim, for it is Yahuwah's throne, nor by the aretz, for it is his footstool, neither by Yarushalayim, for it is the city of the great king. Neither shall you swear by your head, because you cannot make one hair white or black. But let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay. For whatsoever is more than these comes of evil. Bamadbar, Numbers 30, verses 1 through 2. And Musa spake unto the heads of the tribes concerning the children of Yashrael, saying, this is the thing that Yahuwah has commanded. If a man vow a vow unto Yahuwah, or swear an oath to bind his soul with a bond, he shall not break his word. He shall do according to all that proceeds out of his mouth. Now, isn't that something the world says? I know back in the 70s when I was in high school, I heard this a lot, saying, my word is my bond. And look at this, it's in the scriptures. If a man vow a vow unto Yahuwah, or swear an oath to bind his soul with a bond, he shall not break his word. He shall do according to all that proceeds out of his mouth. And then if you read further down, from verses 3 to 16, talks about a woman who vows. If she is still in her father's house and her father hears her give a vow and he knows that's ridiculous, or whatever he feels like she's not going to be able to do it, he can denounce that vow and she'll be free of it. But if he hears it and he doesn't say anything, she is committed to that vow. No matter how hard it gets, she's committed to it. And same thing if she's married. If her husband hears, he can denounce it. But if he doesn't denounce it when at his hearing, then she has to stay with it. She's committed to it. Genesis 28. And Yaakov vowed a vow, saying, if Aluah be with me and will keep me in this way that I go, and will give me bread to eat and raiment to put on, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then shall Yahuwah be my Aluah. And this stone which I have set for a pillar shall be Yahuwah's house. And of all that you give me, I will surely give the tenth unto you. And then Yahuwah says, I am Aluah of Bethel, where you anointed the pillar, and where you vowed a vow unto me. Now arise, get you out from this land, and return unto the land of your kindred. So that when Yaakov vowed the vow, it was in Bereshit 28, and when Yahuwah answered, it was in Bereshit 31. Judges 11:30 through 39. And Jephthah vowed a vow unto Yahuwah, and said, if you will without fail deliver the children of Ammon into my hands, then it shall be that whatsoever cometh forth of the doors of my house, to meet me when I return in peace from the children of Ammon shall surely be Yahuwah's, and I will offer it up for a burnt offering. So Jephthah passed over unto the children of Ammon to fight against them, and Yahuwah delivered him into his hands, and he smote them from Aroah, even until they come to Minnith, even 20 cities to the plain of the vineyards, and a very great slaughter. 20 cities he went through. Whew. The children of Ammon were subdued before the children of Yashrael. And Jephthah came to Mizpeh unto his house, and behold, his daughter came out to meet him with timbrels and with dances, and she was his only child. Besides her he had neither son nor daughter. And it came to pass when he saw her, that he rent his clothes and said, Alas, my daughter, you have brought me very low. You are one of them that trouble me. For I have opened my mouth unto Yahuwah, and I cannot go back. And she said unto him, My father, if you have opened your mouth unto Yahuwah, do to me according that has proceeded out of your mouth. For as much as Yahuwah has taken vengeance for you of your enemies, even of the children of Ammon. And she said unto her father, Let this thing be done to me. Let me alone 2 months, that I may go up and down upon the mountains and bewail my virginity, and I and my fellows. And he said, Go. And he sent her away for 2 months, and she went with her companions and bewailed her virginity upon the mountains. And it came to pass at the end of 2 months that she returned unto her father, who did with her according to his vow that he had vowed, and she knew no man. Now, I want to believe that he did not have to sacrifice her by fire, because I don't see Yahuwah accepting a sacrifice like that, because that would be something along the line of the pagans. But it says that she knew no man. So could it be that she just was a virgin and died never knowing a man, rather than her actually being sacrificed by fire? Because that's something that he talks about with the Moloch. So we have to be very mindful when we're vowing things. What did he think? Did he not consider his daughter maybe one would be the first thing to come out of the house? Some people say that he thought an animal was going to come out the house, but I thought that they didn't have animals in their houses. But either way, did he not think about the possibility? What if? What if it be my daughter? That was very zealous. But he and daughter both agreed that he would keep his vow. Because y'all really worked the work with him slaughtering the children of Ammon in 20 cities. Oh my. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 4 through 6. When you vow a vow unto Aluah, defer not to pay it, for he hath no pleasure in fools. We don't want to be a fool. Two scriptures say that the fool has said in his heart that there is no Aluah. So we'll be the same as one who says there is no Aluah. Defer not to pay it, for he hath no pleasure in fools. Pay that which you owe, which you vow. Better it is that you should not vow than that you should vow and not pay. Suffer not your mouth to cause your flesh to sin, neither say you before the angel that it was an error. Wherefore shall Aluah be angry at your voice and destroy the work of your hands. Tehillim 116, verse 18. I will pay my vows to Yahuwah now in the presence of all his people. James 5, verse 12. But above all things, my brethren, swear not neither by the Shamayim, neither by the aretz, neither by any other oath, let your yea be yea and your nay be nay, lest you fall into condemnation. Matthew 5. In fact, we already read that when Yahushua was saying, don't do it. So now I want to read a story, Genesis 23, about when Sarah died and Abraham was looking for a place to bury her. And Sarah was 107 and 20 years old. These were the years of the life of Sarah, and Sarah died, and Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. And Abraham stood up from before his dead and spake unto the sons of Heth, saying, I am a stranger and a sojourner with you. Give me a possession of a burying place with you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. And the children of Heth answered Abraham, saying unto him, Hear us, you are a mighty prince among us. In the choice of our sepulchres, bury your dead. None of us shall withhold you from his sepulchre, but that you may bury your dead. And Abraham stood up and bowed himself to the people of the land, even to the children of Heth. And he communed with them, saying, if it be your mind that I should bury my dead out of my sight, hear me, and entreat for me to Ephraim, the son of Zophar, that he may give me the cave of Machpelah, that he has, that is in the end of his field, for as much money as it is wrought, he shall give it to me for a possession of a burying place amongst you. And Ephron dwelt among the children of Heth, and Ephron the Hittite answered Abraham in the audience of the children of Heth, even of all that went in at the gate of his city, saying, no, hear me, the field I give you, and the cave that is in it, I give it you. In the presence of the sons of my people, give I it you, bury your dead. And Abraham bowed down himself before the people of the land. And he spake unto Ephron in the audience of the people of the land, saying, but if you will give it, I ask you, hear me. I will give you money for the field. Take it of me, and I will bury my dead there. And Ephraim answered Abraham, saying unto him, hearken unto me, the land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What word made sure is that between me and you? Bury therefore your dead. And Abraham hearkened. In other words, he was hearing what he wasn't saying, unto Ephron. And Abraham weighed to Ephron the silver that he had named in the audience of the sons of Heth, 400 shekels of silver, current money with the merchant. And the field of Ephraim that was at Machpelah, that was before Mibram, the field and the cave that was therein, and all the trees that were in the field, that were in all the borders round about, unto Abraham for a possession, in the presence of the children of Heth, before all that went in at the gate of his city. And after this, Abraham buried Sarah his wife in the cave of the field of Machpelah, before Mamre. The same is Hebron in the land of Canaan, and the field and the cave that is therein were made sure unto Abraham for possession of a burying place by the son of Heth. The reason why I'm reading this is because Abraham heard what this man was saying. He was bragging, oh no, you go ahead and bury your dead. No, you go ahead. And Abraham was like, no, I got to pay for this. And Ephraim was saying, oh no, what's well, the land was worth 400 shekels of silver, but what is that between me and you? No, you go ahead. Abraham heard what he was saying, because if he really meant it, why did he even mention any money at all? If he really sincerely meant just have it. When he mentioned that money, which Abraham was already determined that he was going to pay for it, but when he mentioned that money, he knew, I hear what you're not saying. You want the money. So he went ahead and did it. We have to be wise in doing things, business with people. We have to be careful in our words, make sure we're not making no vows, because that man pretty much, when he said, oh no, what is it between me and you? No, you go ahead, bury. Abraham knew better. And and Dawood did that once too, when somebody was going to give him something that he was, I think, wanted to put the Ark of the Covenant. And he says, no, I'm going to, threshing floor, I think it was, I'm going to pay for it. Yeah. So we just have to be really wise in business. Bamadbar, Numbers 5. And Yahuwah spoke to Moses, saying, command the children of Yashrael that they put out of the camp every leper, and every one that hath an issue, and whosoever is defiled by the dead. Both male and female shall you put out without the camp, shall you put them, that they defile not their camps in the midst where I dwell. And the children of Yashrael did so, and put them out without the camp, as Yahuwah spoke to Moses. So did the children of Yashrael. Yahuwah said, I dwell in your midst. Get all this stuff that's defiled out of the midst of where I dwell. And then Dabarim 23, you shall have a place outside, also outside the camp, where you shall go forth abroad, and you shall have a paddle upon your weapon, and it shall be when you will ease yourself abroad, you dig there, and shall turn back and cover that what comes from you. For Yahuwah your Aluah walks in the midst of your camp to deliver you, and to give up your enemies before you. Therefore shall your camp be Kodesh, that he see no unclean thing in you and turn away from you. So he's saying here, he said, okay, you have a place outside the camp where you go and you relieve yourself. And when you go, you take a paddle with you and you bury that which came out of you. Because I walk in the midst of you, and in other words, I don't be walking in your stuff, your filth, your defilement. Cover it up. So that's twice. He said, I'm in the midst of where you dwell. Get rid of the lepers, those who are defiled by the dead, and get them out. Get them out the camp, out of the midst of where I dwell. And he says, for Yahuwah your Aluah walks in the midst of your camp to deliver you and to give up your enemies before you. So if Yahuwah is walking, if we have Yahuwah walking in our midst, and he's walking in our midst, he says, to deliver us and to give up our enemies before us, and he wants our camp to be Kodash. How is it that if we're lying and we're doing these things that are not pleasing to him, how are we going to be able to expect him to deliver us from our enemies and do all the promises that he's promised us if we got filth in the camp? If we got filth in the camp. I am going to find, I think it's in his own chapter 21. So as we're keeping the law, I was sharing some of this with a person I used to worship with and fellowship with when I lived several years ago. I lived in another state, and we were talking about it, and she was like, wow, that's a higher level of living. I never thought about these things. And I thought, yes, I was so glad to hear her say that. And that has come back to my heart several times today. It's a higher level of living. Why? Because we are striving to live by his law. And so that would cause us to live in a higher level of worshiping him and pleasing him. So yeah, that was, I really appreciate hearing that from her. So I am going to read this to you, but I think I'm going to get another translation. It's in Hazon, chapter 21. And we know that he's already told us that Baruch are those doing his commands in chapter 22, verse 14, so that the authority shall be theirs unto the tree of high and to enter through the gates into the city. So we will have the right to the tree of life when we are doing his commands. So, and we are looking, he talks about a perfect man, I believe is in Ephesians 4, a perfect man. And we know that perfect man just means a mature man. We want to be mature in the things of Yah. So we're in Hazon 21, and it says, but as for the cowardly, verse 7 says, the one who overcomes shall inherit all this, and I shall be his Aluah, and he shall be my son. Verse 8, but as for the cowardly and the untrustworthy and abominable and the murderers and those who whore and drug sorcerers and idolaters and all the false, their part is in the lake, which burns with the fire and sulfur, which is the second death. In the King James Version, it says, he that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will be his Aluah, and he shall be my Ben. But the fearful and the unbelieving, and the abominable, and the murderers, and the whoremongers, and the sorcerers, and idolaters, and all liars shall have their part in the lake, which burns with fire and brimstone. This is the second death. So we understand, okay, the fearful, the abominable, Now let's think this. Some people don't realize that the fearful and the unbelieving are going to have their place in the lake of fire. They know about the abominable and the murderers and the whoremongers and the sorcerers and the idolaters and the liars. What? Liars? Are we liars when we say something and we don't keep our word, even if we don't get on the rooftop and announce it to everybody? But if we say it even in our heart, when our heart is going to be judged, and he's already told us that we're going to give account for every idle word, and he's already told them here about vows, keep the vows. And what does it say in Ecclesiastes? It says he has be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Aluah. It might not be to him, but we utter it before him because he hears everything. So don't be rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything. For Aluah is in the Shamayim, and you upon the aretz. Therefore let your words be few. And where's the one he says he has no when he says that about us being fools. But anyways, well, okay, Deuteronomy 23. When you shall bow to Yahuwah your Aluah, you shall not slack to pay it, for Yahuwah your Aluah will surely require it of you, and it would be sin in you. But if you shall forbear to vow, which you refrain from it, it shall be no sin in you. That is gone out of your lips, you shall keep and perform. Even a free will offering, according if you have vowed unto Yahuwah your Aluah, which you have promised with your mouth. So I'm not able to locate right now where he says about he has no pleasures in fools. But we know that it is written that he has said it. And here it is, Ecclesiastes also, 5. When you vow a vow unto Aluah, defer not to pay it, for he hath no pleasure in fools. Pay that which you have vowed. Better it is that you should not vow than that you should vow and not pay. Suffer not your mouth to cause your flesh to sin, neither say to you before the angel that it was an error. Wherefore should Aluah be angry at your voice and destroy the works of your hands? We don't want him angry at our voice, and we don't want him saying, oh, there she is talking again. No. So, brothers and sisters, that's what I wanted to share today. Let's be mindful of the things that we say, because it says that when we vow before him. Even if it's not to him, we're still vowing. He still hears us. Whew. Walking that tightrope. We're walking that tightrope. Yes, we are. You know, we want that spirit that Caleb had. Caleb followed him wholeheartedly. And that's how we want to be, because he had a different kind of spirit. He didn't say that about Joshua, even though Joshua was special because he chose Joshua to follow in Musa's footsteps and take the children over into the promised land. Joshua was there with Moses all the time. But he didn't say that he had a different spirit, even though we know it was just the two of them. Of all those hundreds of thousands of people who came out, just two of the originals made it over to the promised land. But he still didn't say that he had a different kind of spirit than Caleb. And Caleb got his mountain too towards the end too. When they got over there, he came to Joshua and said, listen. And he pled his plea. And Yahuwah told Joshua, yep, let him have it. Let him have that part that he wants. So we want a spirit. We want Yahuwah to be able to say that about us, especially in this day of evil wickedness. Whew. For him to look and see there's some people who are walking softly before him. Yes, so let's be careful with our words. Be careful what we're vowing, because we don't know about tomorrow. How are we going to vow some what we're going to do? And we don't even know what's coming the next minute. So let's walk softly before him. Let's remember he's in our midst. So let's get away all the defiled stuff out of our midst. And for me, I would think that means my heart and the things, everything I do. He's walking in my midst. I need him to deliver me from the enemy. I need him to do that for me. So I want to get all the defilement out the way. Get all the defilement out the way so he can dwell in my midst. He said that he sees no unclean thing in you and turn away from you. For Yahuwah your Aluah walks in the midst of your camp to deliver you and to give up your enemies before you. Therefore shall your camp be Kodesh, set apart, that he sees no unclean thing in you and turn away from you. Brothers and sisters, we win in Yahuwah. We win in Yahuwah, and the more we strive to please him, we'll be in law, abiding, set apart ones, the more we're going to have his eye and his ear. We win in Yahuwah. Brothers and sisters, continue to walk that walk. In the name of Yahuwah, we win.